All right. Today is October 13th, 2025, and this is my review. Holy volatility. Volatility hit the market hard on Friday with the China tariffs news, and that kind of carried over today. We had a lot of similar volatility. So, uh, whether or not that volatility sticks remains to be seen. Actually, by the time I ended my session, it did look like volatility was dropping off a little bit, but still very large moves. You can see I dropped my contract size down to one lot minis, just so that I can withstand the average pullback because, I mean, there were a lot of trades today where I did eat a 10 tick loss, and if that was on two lots, I mean, I can only afford two of those before I'm done for the day. So high volatility means drop size down. You gotta risk a little bit more. In fact, that might be one of my uh, critiques of my trading today. Was that my stops are too tight, but we'll jump into that later. Um, I had 14 trades with a win rate of only 42%. I would like that number to be way higher, and that's what I'm hoping to accomplish with today's review. My average winning trade was 6.5 ticks, and my average losing trade was 7.3 ticks. So again, my not only is my win rate skewed against me, but so is my risk reward. My average loss was bigger than my average win, which is something that I need to remedy moving forward. Um, so first things first, I just want to jump into the plan. You can see the daily chart here. Prior day high and prior day low are so far out, and I fully expected today to be an inside day. And when you have an inside day, there's going to be a lot of mean reversion, a lot of choppiness. And that's exactly what happened. So that was a good call on my end. Expect inside day, increased volatility, choppiness. Take time to identify trends, both higher time frame and lower time frame. Differentiate between momentum and reversal environments. So one thing I am trying to remedy in my trading is I have a tendency to treat all trades the same, but they're not. A lot of the time, I'm either trying to catch a mean reversion, a reversal, or I'm catching momentum. I'm following a trend, and it's one of my goals over the next couple weeks to do a better job of differentiating between those two, just so that I can have a better idea of what my expected value is on each trade. Because if I risk the same amount on both of those setups, my P&L is going to be skewed. Um, kind of like it was today. I think there's going to be a lot of room for improvement in these trades. Um, when I wrote this plan, my goal was 20 ticks daily loss limit. I think I have definitely exceeded that because I dropped down to one contract. I was not expecting to drop down to one contract at this point. So because I did that, you could essentially double these numbers. So 40 ticks daily loss limit and 20 ticks profit target. And that's just rough. That's not necessarily concrete. Like I don't have any system in place that's preventing me from going over that or below that. It's just a rough estimate of what I would like to accomplish for the day. Drop size of above target, drop size of close to daily loss limit. Neither of those ended up happening. Drop size if average rotation is more than 5 points. That did end up happening at the open essentially. So I dropped my size down to one mini. And respect the rules. Um, my number one rule, and it's my number one goal for the long term, is to uh, only attempt an idea twice, no more. I want to avoid using words like never and don't, just because I think there's kind of a negative connotation there. I more so want to word it in the phrase that I only ever attempt a trade idea twice. And I respected that today. I don't think I ever attempted an idea more than twice. Um, and for the record, I am proud of how I traded today. I think I slipped a little bit at the end, probably because of fatigue, and my patience dropped a little bit. I was getting pretty aggressive with my executions, but still, considering how down I am on the day, and considering it's the first time we've seen VIX like this in a long time, I think I did pretty well. So let's jump into the trades here. I'm gonna go long 66. First thing to consider is that I did have I'm gonna put break even pulse checks because I did pulse check 3 times before placing a trade, but they weren't great. A lot of them were pretty poor actually. So I'll put yellow for my pulse check tag. I was trading Fat Cat today, so I don't have as much narration as I usually do, but I tried to force myself to narrate as much as I could. First trade of the day here is a long for 8 ticks loss. And it's 11 minutes after the open. Let's watch it here on first playback here, just looking at the chart without any hindsight. I think this is a very good setup. 25. A little bit of drawdown. Cut it there for 6 ticks, I think. So I thought I cut it for 6, but it was actually 8. Good setup, good cut. If I was a perfectionist, I would say to wait for the most recent structure low to get breached before entering, because I think if we play the video a little bit, I think it does come up after that. Yeah. So had I waited for the prior low to get breached, it would have been a great long, and I probably would have gotten a substantial return on it. Heart rate, let's see. My heart rate's decent here. It's a little elevated, so I'll put the yellow tag for heart rate, but I did feel pretty calm at this point. I am content with P&L. I am pretty patient. I waited more than 10 minutes after the open. I had range favor on this trade. How many order blocks did I have? I didn't have crazy order blocks, but I'll mark them as such just because accounting for volatility. I had big order blocks, small order blocks. I had reclaim favor, and I'll even tag this as multiple factors of support because I think it was a really good attempt. I also had Delta favor. It looks like Delta's uptrending. I just don't have that tag anymore, which I might put it back on. Working against me, I don't have a lot against me, honestly. I did have one small order block against me. Actually, I did have a big one too. Yeah, it looks like I did have a big one back there. So I will tag that as such because it's only fair. As far as execution, I think I had a bit of an early entry, but my exit was good. I like where I cut it. Because it's easy for me to use hindsight and say, oh, if I held a little longer, it would have worked. But I mean, it also could have puked against me 5 points. You know, I don't really know that at this point, so I'll be fair with myself. Today was a risk-off environment. The setup grade that I would give this, it's not anything crazy. I'd probably give it a C. And this was conservative. It was as conservative as I could be in this kind of environment. No area of interest. No mistakes. Slip favor. And I was pretty clear at this point. Actually, I'll put in between on market read because my pulse checks weren't great. I'm tempted to green star this one. Yeah, I'll green star. I think this is a good loss, especially for the first trade. Trade number 2 was my biggest win of the day. It was a 13 tick profit to the short side. Let's watch the replay here. Try it. 77.75 short. need a bit of drawdown on it. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Would like to see 75s out of this. Got it.
Nice.
So a bit of a premature exit. I could have held this one a little longer. So I will tag it as such. I think my entry was perfect. Hard to get better than that. This one spiked the hell out of my heart rate. 130 beats per minute. So I'm gonna say maybe calm. I don't want to say tilt because I want to save that tag for when I'm like literally tilting. Yes, I'm content with my P&L, and I am pretty patient here. My market rate is clear. My factors of support were big order blocks, small order blocks, range favor, and reclaim favor. I'll also tag multiple factors of support. On my backside, I had virtually nothing. Like literally nothing on my backside, which is awesome. This was a little bit on the aggressive side, I feel. Just considering where my entry was, like I was very quick on it. And this was a move to move because I had a pretty clear target of 75s in mind. As far as setup quality goes, this is pretty close to an A. Yeah, I'll take it A. It's not quite A plus, but it's close. it's pretty close to A plus, but not quite. I would have liked maybe a couple more factors of support on it. An area of interest, not really, nothing crazy. Any mistakes? No. I did have slip favor on this. I will green star it. Also just going to screenshot it real quick, just so that I have it in my playbook for later. Ticks short. Risk off. I believe my entry was somewhere around here. And my exit was down here somewhere, roughly. Whole bunch of levels to be taken back. Failure high. Precedence for mean reversion. I like that there's choppy price action beforehand, because that's going to help. Also, some invalidations here. All right, I think that's it. Oh, I might also tag just to have it. Delta reclaim. All right, paste that into clipboard. That looks good. All right, trade 3 looks like is a 4 tick loss to the short side. Failure. I'm gonna try at short 84.
Be careful, they pivoted this 5-way convergence below us. Kind of long biased at this point, but
I'll take it off. 4 tick loss. So it's a pretty good cut. I think what Fat Cat saying there was pretty valid. We do have a pretty major pivot, and Delta's uptrending like a mother. So yeah, it looks like that was a good cut too, because it trends against me really hard. So not a great location on this one. I'm gonna red star this trade just because I think it's an unnecessary loss. I shouldn't be trading in areas like this. On my front side, I didn't really have much, honestly. Yeah, I really don't like this trade. I suppose I had order blocks in my favor, but that's really it. Yeah. Against me, I had trend against because it looks like we're going from a range environment to a trend environment, especially since we broke over the pre-market range there. Also fading a breakout. I don't really have a tag for that though. Maybe I'll do stop run against because a stop run is kind of like a breakout. I think that's it. This was an aggressive scalp in a risk-off environment, so I was against my bias. I was also impulsive, I'll tag that. I didn't really have slip advantage here. If anything, it might have been slip against. Yeah, that was slip against. And I'm confused here. My heart rate is pretty steady considering. So I'll put maybe calm. I was still pretty content here. And I think I'm being pretty patient. This was almost 10 minutes since my last trade. And that will be a red star. I kind of want to screenshot this real quick just so that I know mistakes that I made in the context I was missing. So I'm going to type major invalidation. Major invalidation. And retest of significant support resistance. Yeah, this would have been a great long idea down here. All right, that's good enough. Let's paste that in there, just so I know where I went wrong. And on to the next one. Trade number 4 is a 4-tick profit to the long side.
Which is originally what got me in trouble. I'm like, okay, they're gonna probably abuse it, but they didn't.
All right, so ignoring the fat cat just said there. My mic was muted. I couldn't narrate here, even though I was technically. This was a very good setup. I like this for just the quick scallop. I took it off for a point, which is really what it's worth. Yeah, I think this is a good one. So let's screenshot this real quick, just because I want to highlight a couple things. So there's a couple different structures that are getting broken here. So there's like a stop run of a couple different structures. There's a pretty nice pullback here. Pullback. And then a pretty nice upside. My entry was like here. My exit was like here. Real quick, I just wanted to do a technical breakdown of this trade. What we're looking at is price clearly wants to move higher for the time being. These brief pullbacks on volume signify uh, uh, high frequency traders pulling their bids to force price down artificially, generating liquidity before moving higher. It's important to have multiple trend identifiers in this case. We also have a really good example of precedence where price pulls back significantly, like 10 points, without the delta really budging. And that's a pretty good identifier that if it happens on the smaller time frame, like a good pullback on volume, that it's worth fading into. So I'm going to tag this A plus scalp, and it was pretty conservative. We had big order blocks and small order blocks in our favor. Did we have any big ones? I actually don't think we had any big ones. So never mind, I can't tag that. But yeah, we had reclaim, we had spoof, we kind of had V flush. Would I count that as a V flush? No, not really, because it's not breaking any areas. We had a support resistance area. We had trend favor, multiple factors of support. Against us, we did have big order blocks against us, but I'm not too worried about that. Entry good, exit good. No mistakes, slip favor, clear, calm, content, patient. I was especially clear because my heart rate never exceeds 90 beats per minute, which I think is impressive. That just means it's an easy trade, and this will probably be the easiest trade of the day, if I had to guess. Alrighty. Trade number 5 is a 3-tick profit to the long side. Again, looks like just a pretty good consistent scalp here. Just a little bit of a shimmy favor.
Be careful. You got reclaim behind you.
Yeah, it's just pulling back on me a little bit. Fat Cat makes a good point. I'll take it for 3 ticks if it'll give it to me. Got it. Just for shits and giggles, let's see if it would have went further. No, it wouldn't have. It would have pulled back on me. So he was right. This was not the best location. So I might even red star this one. I didn't have a whole lot in my favor. I only had small order blocks in my favor. I technically had trend favor, but that's quickly starting to turn around. Against me, I had pretty big reclaim. Had some pretty big order blocks. And I'm going to tag range against just because there's a micro range setting up here that I'm against. This was a pretty aggressive scalp. Any risk off environment against my bias. Did I have slip favor? I don't think I did. Yeah, I technically did have slip favor. My market read was in between. I don't think I was necessarily confused here, but I don't think I was paying attention to all the context, and I'll actually tag that missing context. Calmness is going to be maybe. Contentment is still pretty good at this point. I think I'm up on the day quite a bit. And my patience is decent here. It's a red star just because the location. The location's pretty bad. Trade number 6 is a 10 tick loss to the long side, so that's a full stop for me. Let's watch the replay here. Didn't get filled.
Are you in it?
71.25 filled. So I think right here is a good sign that I can get out, because this is a mean reversion trade, and these mean reversion trades have to work quick. If I'm momentum trading, and the idea of a momentum trading usually is that we're uptrending and I'm catching pullbacks. In that scenario, price is kind of going to hover around for a bit before it goes in my favor, because price tends to go up slower than it goes down. So if I'm catching a trend with a momentum trade, I can kind of allow it to wiggle around a little bit more. But with these mean reversion trades, especially after such a sharp move, like it just printed sharp down, and I'm catching it near the bottom, which isn't bad, you know. Like I am very good at catching these mean reversions, but if it doesn't go in my favor instantly, like within 5 seconds, that's probably a good idea that I should flat key and just get out. And I failed to do that here. Expect a little bit of heat on this. So I think that's a sign of contentment issues, is that I say I expect to take heat on this, meaning that I'm okay with a drawdown. I should not be okay with that much drawdown on this particular trade, because I'm catching a knife and there's a lot of risk involved with doing that. So let's tag it as such. This is going to be a I'll put a yellow, because I do think it's a decent attempt, but it was executed poorly. I didn't have that much in my favor, honestly. I had some reclaim there. That's about it. Unfortunately, I was against the trend, because now we're starting to downtrend a bit. I also had some big order blocks against me, and some small ones, I think. No, I didn't have any small ones, just big ones. I think that's it. I'm going to tag this as impulsive. And my exit was late. My entry was good. Contentment, I'm going to tag as red. Patience will be yellow. And calmness will be yellow. Actually, calmness will be... My heart rate hit 130. That's not good. That's pretty high. And my clarity was confused. I think I'm... Actually, I'll put in between. I don't think I was necessarily confused. It was a pretty decent setup, but it's not great either. I'm going to tag it with a C. And this was pretty aggressive too, so I'm against my bias. slip. I was kind of slip against because I was trying to get in that move pretty quick. So yeah, I think that about covers it for this trade. Trade number 7 is a 4-tick profit to the short side. And it's only a couple minutes after that last one, so it looks like we are continuing lower, and this is a continuation trade.
You in it or no?
Yep, I'll take it for the 5 ticks.
You might get
Got it. Looks like I got the point out of it there. This is a good trade. I wish it was a little looser. I think I'm aggressive here. It's an aggressive scalp, which isn't always a bad thing, but considering I have the trend in my favor, it's not horrible either. So my emotions, I think I'm maybe patient, maybe content, and maybe calm. My heart rate is pretty elevated here. 67. My market read is pretty clear. I think I'm following the trend, which is good. I had slip favor. It's kind of aggressive where I'm getting in. I should have a tag for aggressive entry because the exit was pretty conservative. I'll take this as an A setup. It's pretty good. My entry was good. Exit was good. In my favor, I had big and small order blocks. I had trend favor. Against me, I had a lot of reclaim, which is pretty dangerous. And I think that's it. I'll also take this as spoofing because it did spoof up pretty quick. And this will be a green star. It's aggressive in a risk-off environment, but I think considering we're at VIX, I kind of have to be aggressive with high VIX.
wrong.
Trade number 8. Trade number 8 is a 7-tick loss to the short side. So it looks like I'm trying to trade a continuation, but it's not quite working. So let's watch, see what happens. I'm going to try short 70, 75.
Be careful, you have a big fucking reclaim above you.
Yeah, and he makes a good point. There was a very, very big reclaim. I say it was a 5-tick, but it was actually much larger than that. And then it continues upward. We do eventually get it. So I think the problem here was that I was trying to trade a continuation, but it actually would have been a better mean reversion. But I'm not going to focus on that. I think all in all, it was a decent setup. I just have so much reclaim on my backside, which I did the last trade too, but that was a good trade, so I can't really beat myself up too much about it. But the difference is that this is slowly grinding up at the time of entry. Where's my entry? So my entry's here. Yeah, I think it's too... I'm trying to trade a continuation, but it's not fast enough. Like, the thing about those continuation trades is it's just got to be like boom, boom, you know, like really quick up, really quick down. And this is kind of grinding upward, which I don't like. I just want to screenshot this super quick and signify that. Excuse me. All right, so in essence, the problem with this trade is that the uptrend is the uptrend that I'm fading, that I think is going to collapse, is too grindy. It's too slow. So when price is slowly curving like that, it's best to not fade it. If I did, it would have to be a mean reversion setup, in which case I should be waiting for the peak and I should be waiting for signs of reversal. I can't be catching mean reversion trades like that. Whereas if it's a trend continuation trade, I should be catching it. I should be jumping in, catching the offer, and then it should work quickly in my favor. But with these, with the mean reversion, it's like it's going to take longer to set up, and it's also going to take longer to confirm. And I need to be patient. I need to wait for that confirmation if that's what I was trading. But the problem here is that I'm trading this as if it's a continuation when it's not. So let's tag that as such. I'm going to yellow star this trade. I did have a couple big order blocks in my favor. Couple order blocks in my favor. I've got a lot of reclaim against me though. And I technically have trend favor. Not a whole lot on my backside aside from that reclaim, but still, sometimes reclaim is enough. Entry was early, and my exit was late, unfortunately. This was a pretty aggressive scalp in a risk-off environment, which means that I am against my bias. I technically had slip favor because I'm jumping in, but that's not necessarily a good thing. And my clarity is in between here. I don't think it's good or bad. My beats per minute are pretty high in the yellow. I may be calm. And at this point, I think my contentment is slipping a little bit, so I'm going to do maybe content and maybe patient. This will be a yellow star trade. Trade number 9 is a 9-tick profit to the short side. So let's watch the replay here, listen to the narration. I'm going to try the short 73. Take it there, 2-pointer. So what's really, really nice about this trade is that I'm trading this as if it's a mean reversion. And that's exactly what I didn't want to do the first attempt, and that's exactly what I'm doing the second attempt. So as I mentioned earlier, I have a rule where I can only attempt an idea twice. And this is my second attempt on the idea, but I'm fixing the mistake that I made in the first attempt, which is that I'm treating this as a mean reversion trade, which is good. That's exactly what I want to do. So let's screenshot this real quick. My entry was here. My exit was here. I took like the first pop, but my ideal exit probably would have been a little lower towards those first couple order blocks. My entry, exit, and ideal exit. I think I could have got quite a bit more out of this. What's nice is that this looks like it's setting up for a stop run. Stop run of this. We've got some nice reclaims below. Validation. We've got precedence over here. Precedence. And trend favor. Very good trade. Second. Less 9 ticks short. Risk off. Yeah, I really, really like this one. I also kind of have an area of interest because we've just invalidated opening range high and we're trading back into opening range low. This might be an A+. Yeah, let's tag it as such. So A+, my exit was a little early, but my entry was good. Factors of support, I have a lot of small order blocks in my favor. I'm not sure about big ones. I did have a big one on the 32nd, so let's tag that. I had reclaim, I had area of interest. I also had trend favor, multiple factors of support. Looks good. On my backside, I didn't really have much. I think reclaim, I probably had a lot of reclaim on my backside. This was a conservative move to move. I had a pretty clear target in mind. Although I do wish I held for the later target. If I was trading on 2 lots, it might have been possible for me to get that further target. No mistakes. I did have slip favor. I waited for a really good pullback entry. I was clear. I did feel calm, but my heart rate was slightly elevated. At this point, I was content with P&L. And I'm going to put maybe patient. It's pretty close to my last one. Oh, I also need to mark try to. This was a try to. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome trade. Yeah, absolutely A+, green star. Trade number 10 is a 6-tick profit to the short side. Unfortunately, after this trade, this is where I start to slip in my contentment and I overstay. So I should be done trading at 10:30. This trade number 10, is placed at 10:31. So I'm already technically overstaying. It's okay if I'm overstaying for a good setup, which it looks like this was, but after that, I continue to stick around and I lose a lot more. If I look at my P&L curve at trade number 10, At trade number 10, I would have been up 10 ticks on the day, which isn't quite my profit, because technically it's 20 ticks because I'm on one lot, but that's still enough. Like, being up 10 ticks on the day is still a good day, and considering the fact that my session's supposed to be over at that time, that's going to affect how I grade myself today. But let's watch the trade. I just want to actually replay this with narration so I can listen to myself.
Big flush there. Did I mark that one? Maybe. We had one here. They would have knocked that out.
I'm gonna sharp 70.5. It just looks like mean reversion territory. I'll take a 69. I think that was 6 ticks. So this is a decent trade. I wish I had a little bit more confirmation, but I mean, as far as this mean reversion goes, I think it's pretty good. We're validating a lot of the stuff above us. We got like a rounding top, which I think for mean reversions, a rounding top or a rounding bottom is good. It's kind of what I want to see. So I think this one's decent. Let's tag it. I had some decent order blocks in my favor. We had just invalidated a big one to the short side, and I don't have any against me, but I do have a lot of reclaim against me. I've got compression favor. We are compressing into the lows. Also got trend favor. My entry was pretty good here, and I also think my exit was good. I could have got a few more ticks out of it, but I'm not worried about that. Given the range of this trade, I think 6 ticks is more than enough. This was a conservative scalp. Setup quality, I'd give it a B. It's still pretty tight in a risk-off environment. No mistakes. I did have slip favor, pretty good slip favor, and I was pretty clear. I was also calm. My heart rate's pretty low. I'll take it as yellow. I'm at this point, I'm pretty content, and I'm gonna put maybe patient. It's still pretty close to my last trade, and this will be a green star. Unfortunately, though, the next 4 trades are all gonna be red star because I think I was attacking way too aggressively. But let's just watch them for setup quality. Short 73, 75.
Be careful.
Got it. 5 ticks. Yeah, so again, I'm way too aggressive for a mean reversion. I'm trying to take a mean reversion trade here, but I'm attacking it as if it's a momentum trade. And I just can't be doing that, especially, you know, if price is slowly grinding upwards and then it breaks out on volume, I can't be fading that because that's a breakout. Whereas if price is trending downwards and it quickly flashes to the opposite side, you know, that's fadeable. But this isn't it. You know, this is clearly mean reversion, and I'm attacking it as if it's momentum. So this is going to be a red star. Massive reclaim against me. I also had some smaller order blocks against me. I'm going to put stop run against me because it looks like that compression is blowing out now, which is setting up for a stop run. And I'll tag that in the previous trade too. I'm going to sharp 70.5. But in this trade, it's pretty clear that that's what's happening. We are stop running. I technically had trend favor, but I think that's it, unfortunately. My entry was way too early. My exit was late. This is an aggressive scalp. Actually, I'm not going to tag entry or exit because this is a red star. This is going to be a red star. Risk off. Couple mistakes here. Against bias. Impulsive. And missing context. I'm going to take slip none because I shouldn't be looking for slip on a mean reversion like this, at least. I'm going to put confused. Maybe calm. But I'm going to put no discontent. I'm clearly discontent because I'm overstaying. And I'll actually make a note of that in the journal notes. Overstaying past 10:30. In my patience, I'm impatient here too because it's such quick succession from my last trade.
Push up.
Trade number 12 is a 10 tick loss to the short side. I'm gonna try
But I'm not
74.25
certain. For what?
short. A little bit too much acceptance. I cut it right before that move there. So this is better. I am treating it more like a mean reversion here. But it's technically a try too because it's less than a minute after my last one.
Push up.
So this is going to be a try too. I still have so much reclaim on my backside. I do have good order blocks on my front side though. I'm not going to tag trend favor because the 3-second and the 30-second are conflicting now, which I don't like. Yeah. I will do range favor, however, because it does look like a pretty good range mean reversion. My entry's decent, but I could have waited for a bit of a better setup. And my exit was late, unfortunately. This is a more conservative move to move. I'm going to call it a C setup because there's so much reclaim on my backside and it's slowly grinding upwards, which means we're probably going to take it back. Risk off. Missing context. Impulsive, and I'm started to get fixated on an idea. Yeah, my next two trades are also short. Slip mid. My market read is in between here, but my next trades are probably going to be confused. My heart rate is high. I'm maybe calm. No, I am not content, and no, I am not patient. This will be a red star. I'll call it a yellow star, just to be fair on myself. It is objectively a decent setup, but in the context of what happens next, I want to call it a red star. This next trade, trade 13, is a 3-tick loss to the short side. What's annoying, though, is that I had 9 ticks MFE on it. So I should have bankrolled this, and I'll tag it as such. Bankroll fail. It's a try 3 of the same setup, which means that I'm breaking my long-term goal, which is not good. I am not calm. I am not content. I am not patient. This is clearly a tilt trade. A red star. I'm against the trend now. Trend against. There's no longer a range for me to be trading into either. I've still got more reclaim against me. Granted, I do have order blocks, but that's kind of it. This is an aggressive move to move. Actually, I'm going to tag it as hold. I held way too long in a risk-off environment, which means I'm fixated on an idea. I'm failing to bankroll. I'm against my bias, and I'm revenge trading. The fact that I had 9 ticks and I didn't take it off is pretty bad. None. And I'm confused because I think we just keep ripping after this. I'm probably going to copy my tags into the next one. Trade number 14 is a 10 tick loss to the short side. So this is another, like, try 4 of the same idea. I'm going to try 85, 25. Yeah, I don't even have to watch that because it is literally the exact same as the last trade, unfortunately. So, and over trading. I'll put that on there. And that'll be a red star. So, I feel like if it weren't for those last 4 trades, I think today would have been A plus. And let's jump into report cards so that I can answer these questions. If it hadn't been for those last 4 trades, I would have given myself like an A plus on today's performance. But because I didn't follow my long-term goal of only attempting an idea twice, I have to give myself an F, unfortunately. I wish I could be lighter on myself, but the only thing that's important to me in the next couple weeks and maybe even couple months is that I never attempt an idea more than twice. And I attempted that last idea 4 times. And that's why I want this to be my long-term goal. This is all I want to focus on for the next couple weeks, is because I really think that this one issue is causing so much detriment to my trading that if I could eliminate it, I would be in a much better place and I would be much closer to consistency. So I think the point of setting a goal for yourself, and specifically one single goal, is because you want to be able to eliminate what the biggest problem your trading is. And once that problem is no longer a factor, you move to the next biggest problem, and so on and so forth. And I think one of my biggest problems right now is that I attack too many times and I fall in love with an idea. And if I could find a way to stop doing that, then I think I would be in a much, much better place. So unfortunately, I have to give myself an F for today. My long-term goal, I just mentioned it, only trade an idea twice. A couple of short-term goals that I have. I would like to do a better job of differentiating my setups. So right now, I have 2 setups, and that is momentum and mean reversion. And there were a couple mistakes that I made today where I didn't do a good enough job of doing that. I might return to live tagging just so that I can keep a better track of that in my session instead of only looking at it in hindsight. I think if I was paying more attention to my tags in live time, I would be more aware of how I'm trading those setups. Easiest trade today is going to be, what was it? This one was pretty easy. I'm gonna try the short 73. It's gonna be trade number 9 because I was gonna say trade number 7, the 4 tick profit, but the problem with trade number 7 is that it was way too close to the low of day. And there's just so much backside risk involved with that. That doesn't mean it's a bad trade. It still was a very good trade and a very easy trade. But what I really like about trade number 9 is that we've got a lot of looseness in the price action. The price action has gotten very loose. We've kind of got like a failing compression to jump into. We've got a good pullback to jump into. We've got really good reclaim below us and order blocks. I'm trading it as if it were a mean reversion. I'm waiting for confirmation. I've got the trend favor. I've just got so many things in my favor that it was such an easy trade. And if I replay it, my heart rate never really went up that high. I'm really proud of that trade. So yeah, number 9 is definitely got to be the easiest. Things I did good. I respected my daily loss limit. I got out. I think I'm down $250 or something like that, which is a very light loss for a bad day for me. So I'm glad that I mitigated my losses and that today wasn't horrible. I excuse me. I also don't want to let the last 4 trades ruin my perception of today, because things like that are always going to happen. You're always going to have these series of trades that are bad, and you're breaking your rules and stuff like that. And granted, the goal is ultimately to never break your rules, and I'm not trying to overlook that. I broke my rules today. However, I still do want to pat myself on the back for how well I traded before then. This was high VIX, man. I think VIX is at 30 today, or close, maybe like high 20s. So the fact that I survived my session that long, I mean, usually, yeah, VIX 20 today. Usually in a high VIX environment, especially if we haven't had high VIX for a while, like it's been more than a few months since we've had high VIX. Usually it's like you're done in the first 10 minutes. You blow through your daily loss limit or what have you. I didn't have that today. I maintained composure. I maintained decent patience throughout. I didn't attack an idea more than twice until the very end. And I'm proud of that because today tested me. Today was a test. And I think in the broader scope, I passed because I maintained composure for the hour of trading that I'm supposed to be trading in. It was just outside of that trading. That there's one decision that I made, and it's the decision that kills all traders. It's the just this once decision. Just this once, I'm gonna trade past 10:30, and look what it ended up happening. It killed me. Making that decision just this once, just this one time, I'm gonna trade past 10:30, is what killed my session. I would have had a very good session had I just called it quits right at 10:30. So I mean, these rules exist for a reason, and even the psychological aspect of breaking a rule usually leads to you breaking other rules, which I did. I broke my 2 attempts rule. So it's a domino effect. Once you break one rule, there's nothing stopping you from breaking other rules, and I think that's what's most important about today. Which kind of brings me to the things I need to improve on. I think that's number one, is just don't break any rules and don't make any exceptions for breaking rules, because if you break one rule, it's a domino effect. You're gonna break other rules, and that's exactly what happened today. So, things I need to improve on: just follow your goal, man. Don't worry about P&L. Don't worry about VIX. Don't worry about all the price action. Don't worry about all the correlations. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just worry about accomplishing your goal. And my goal is to never attack a trade more than once. I only trade an idea twice. That's it. Never more than that. I only trade an idea twice. And that's what I need to carry forward. I also need to only trade the first hour of the market. That rule exists for a couple reasons. One, it ensures that I have enough time to do my review after. And two, it also keeps me consistent. It keeps me consistent about the window I'm trading, and it's an easy rule for me to follow. It's an objective rule. If I can just finish that first hour and say I'm done for the day, no matter regardless of P&L, that's consistency. I need to be consistent about that goal. So I think that might be a big thing that I need to focus on, is just like, don't make exceptions, and don't break those rules. In fact, what I might do is I might bring up my page of rules. I need to delete a couple of these because they are outdated. I want to keep this rule page clean. I only trade an idea twice. You only trade the first hour after open. So I'm gonna keep this rule page as easy as possible. So these are my rules right now. Create a plan before each session, grade myself accordingly, especially long-term goals. This one is supposed to protect me against black swans. If my plan seems unobtainable due to volatility, directions, emotions, outside factors, then I should dedicate the rest of the day to trader work instead of trading, meaning drilling, reviewing old trades, playbooking, stuff like that. I don't trade the close. I narrate every trade. I only trade when I'm mentally fresh. If I've spent my mental stamina completing other tasks like reviewing before the open, then I don't trade. I only trade an idea twice, and I only trade the first hour after open. Those are my only rules, and they should be pretty easy to follow, especially my long-term goal of only trading an idea twice. I only trade an idea twice. In summary, I think I snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. I think at 10:30, I had an awesome session underneath me, a session that I'm proud of, a session that I want to repeat moving forward. But it was those last 4 trades that I broke one rule. The one rule that I broke was trading past 10:30, and everything spiraled after that. I traded more than twice. I risked too much. I overtraded. It spirals. You make one mistake, and then the other ones come crumbling down. So, um, if I just follow my long-term goal and respect it every single day, I will not have this issue. I will protect myself from losses like this in the future, and that's exactly what I plan to do. So we will see how the next one goes.